What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is the Jussie Smollett incident, question mark. The reason I say question mark, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and if you like the video, click the like button, and let's get into it. Jussie Smollett. He's one of the children of Lucius Lyon on the show Empire. He plays Jamal, talented dude. His family's been in the business for a while. He's gay, black. That can sometimes go against you. He was reportedly jumped and beat. That's his face. He had a little scratch, and it's his face there. I guess it looked a little more swollen from how he normally looks, I guess. It could have been from being outside. Chicago had this cold weather. He might have gotten beat up. It's just really fishy what may have happened, and I'm gonna go over the evidence, and then I'll tell you what people say, and I'll tell you what I think. That's a side-by-side picture of how he looks normally versus his puff daddy puffed up face. So I don't know, something happened, but was it what he said? Let's get into it. Chicago at the end of January, beginning of February, was experiencing some of the coldest weather ever in its history. It was just like Antarctica. It was colder than Antarctica, negative 20, 30, 40. Chicago, the lake, the wind chill effect, I mean, it was crazy. The polar vortex, that's where the cold air and low pressure from the North Pole comes down in the jet stream, and it surges south, and it kind of locks it in, and Chicago was caught in that in the Midwest, and I mean, it was crazy. It was like unbearable. And we as Chicagoans, I'm from Chicago, we are used to the cold weather, but that was unique. Now, when he got jumped, they said this is MAGA country. Chicago is always democratic for the most part. Big cities are democratic. You can see Chicago voted for Clinton, whereas the rest of the country in the Midwest voted for Trump. So that's a spot, Illinois, that is not MAGA country. And it wasn't just this unique Trump-Clinton thing. We can go back at all the past elections for the last 20, 30 years and see, even when Obama and Romney, Illinois was Democratic. And the reason why big cities are Democratic is because they actually are mixing and intermingling with other people. And it's not like in places like Oklahoma. They voted for Obama Biden against McCain Palin. You go back to 2004. Illinois, out of all that red, they still voted for John Kerry over George Bush. You see? And then if you go back to even Bush Cheney in 2000, Illinois voted for Al Gore and Lieberman. You know, Illinois is Democratic. Even 96, they voted for Bill Clinton over Bob Dole. You see? So big cities and cities normally vote Democratic. Chicago always votes Democratic. In 92, they voted for Clinton over Bush, George H.W. So Chicago is not MAGA country. Now, he was supposedly going the subway. I guess he wanted 12 inches in the middle of the night. I mean, a foot long. Either way, I'm looking right here. All the subways are right there in that area. You go through, none of them are open 24 hours except for a couple, and those that are nowhere near where he was, especially in walking distance. And with all the things out here with Grubhub, Uber Eats, and all of that, you could have gotten somebody to deliver it, although they probably wouldn't because it was the polar vortex, and that's why they probably wouldn't have been paying somebody next to nothing, minimum wage or $10 an hour to be making sandwiches at Subway in the polar vortex. I'm sure they would have closed early or left or whatever. I'm going right here, and you guys can just go to maps on your phone, iPhone, and you can do it. It's just really simple, and you can see in the area, because they show it was right there where he was in Streeterville area, that none of those were there. This subway is 24 hours. It's all the way on Roosevelt Road. This is right next to where I used to work at a UPS. And so, they got Jewtown Polish and all of that. Maybe he should have got a Polish. But anyway, this is nowhere near where he lives as far as walking distance, especially during a polar vortex, to get a mediocre half-ass Subway sandwich. Subway ain't all that to be braving the Arctic winds for it. And so this right here, he wasn't going there. And there's the Jewtown Police, Jim's Original. Okay, they're open 24 hours, 7 days a week, no matter what. New Year's, Christmas, they never close. Polar Vortex, all of that. But he wasn't trying to get a Polish. He wanted 12 inches from Subway, foot long. So, what he was doing, I don't know. Now, we all know sometimes that gay people in general, meet up and hook up on these sites and go meet in strange locations in the middle of the night and do whatever. Maybe that's what was happening and it didn't go right. Maybe they tried to jump him or whatever. They said that he was beat up and a noose around his neck. And, they said this was MAGA country, but they had a ski mask on. Who wears a ski mask with a Trump MAGA hat? And that doesn't make sense. And they said, aren't you that gay fag or whatever from Empire, you talking about? How are they noticing him and have time for that and waiting for him in the middle of 2 a.m? What is that? That's a random foot long that he wanted. That wasn't his usual foot long. So how would they know he would be coming out? How did they know that? So, but they was just waiting and doing all of this just to what? Give him a scratch and leave? I mean, I know what they were fighting using the windmill tactics. I mean, I don't understand that. And there's 2 of them, and he said he fought back. Anyway, people asked that they said they poured bleach on him. Okay, bleach freezes at around 18 to 19 degrees. In Chicago, it was negative 27 with the wind chill negative 42. They would have threw an ice cube at him. They wouldn't have threw no bleach at him. And who walks around with a cup of bleach anyway? And then it said that he didn't initially want to report the attack, and that he even came home, walked past security, still had the noose around his neck. Why wouldn't you take that off immediately? And then they said that it occurred at around 2 a.m. and that, they said, hey, he said everything he said was 100% factual and consistent, but then other stuff, it doesn't add up. And then he was supposedly talking to his manager on the phone, but they didn't want to give the phone records. The manager didn't call the police immediately. He didn't call police immediately. It just doesn't add up. And then he is able to identify these people or whatever. How does he know who they were? I guess you could tell they white by their voice or whatever the case. But white people don't necessarily watch Empire all the time. It shows that white people watch that black people don't watch. I wouldn't know who those people are, just like I wouldn't know who some of their musicians are. And then it said that he didn't want to hand over cell phone to them. I understand people got all kind of, pictures they may not want people to see or private stuff in their cell phone. Delete it and show them this. This is a crime, a hate crime, supposedly. You should want that solved over not somebody seeing your pictures. And then they said that he received a letter, threatening letters, and somebody looked like a kid drew that, and they had the pictures cut out like a movie, and he had got offered extra security but turned it down. I guess he thought he could handle himself, but then when something like that happened, it doesn't add up. And so why would, if he knew this type of stuff is happening, why is he being so careless? A lot of things just don't add up. They wearing ski masks, they put a rope around your neck. But as soon as somebody did that, I would have took that out and threw it down at least. And the police did say they saw the rope around his neck, but that it was a thin rope, they said, around his neck. I guess it doesn't matter. But a lot of people use erotic asphyxiation too. That's what David Carradine died from. So who knows? And then a woman supposedly says she saw these 2 guys. She saw all this information. That's what this is saying. And then she got creeped out. But then she went back in. She saw him with a ski mask, went to sleep. And then she says she woke up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym and noticed the security. And then they said that he was attacked. And then she decides to tell him this stuff. Let me tell you something. Scared white women tell on you. Okay, they don't go to sleep and think and brush it off. They will tell. Okay, if these guys look that suspicious, they would have told somebody. All right, that doesn't add up right. She just saw all this stuff that creeped her out and these guys, but then she just went on ahead and went to sleep. And we see Smollett has already had a problem with Trump with tweets and attacks and different stuff. And he had no, he walked past security, all of this stuff, didn't say anything. When you would have first came to security, you would have told him. He walked right past him calmly, went up there and, chilled. Some people say, well, he was traumatized, whatever. I'm not sure. But I think this could have been a publicity stunt because he's trying to have a concert and he gave his concert. It was days after the attack. Now, they had a report that his concert still had tickets available. Okay, it wasn't sold out, but that after the attack occurred, his concert sold out immediately. All right. And so he's sitting there telling everybody he's okay and this and that. And he got all these people there, Maxine Waters and Lee Daniels and stuff. And then it said he made clear he wanted to move on from the assault and that he didn't have any signs of injury, whatever the case. And that he didn't perform his song about Trump. But then, as you see right here, one of the people said that at the bottom that they bought tickets in a show of solidarity. And that, he had his security team they hired extra security for the venue. But that all of this is happening. He performing. See, it said as of Tuesday afternoon, it was tickets, but it sold out in 48 hours after the assault being reported. 48 hours. So we live in a world where people do crazy things for money. And nobody should just blindly believe people because they're gay or they're black or because they're straight or whatever. I wanted to make this video, but it seemed a little fishy. I had a couple other things going on, so I wanted to wait till I got a little more information. But it just didn't add up to me from the jump. And so, nobody is going to be standing out there waiting on him with bleach. I mean, if you waiting on him, wouldn't it have frozen by then? I mean, you didn't know he was coming. It was a random, like I said, foot long. So it wasn't like it was he was scheduled to go to work at Empire and then you caught him. How did you know at 2 a.m. that was going to happen? So what I think happened is he was probably meeting up with somebody for, a little fun, in the park or whatever he was going. He probably didn't want them coming straight to his house because, he didn't know them too well. And so once he got there, maybe some things didn't go right, and he wanted to report it, but then he didn't. And so they manager and everybody said we can use this maybe to your advantage as a publicity stunt. And so maybe they was doing some type of erotic asphyxiation or whatever. But Trump supporters looking to beat people up, those were the worst Trump supporters ever, because normally racists and people that do hate crimes, they really beat you down, especially two of them. And so if he fought back and beat them up, why don't we have more information? The police have nobody walking around there except for two people that they have with that footage. And they were bundled up as can be. They didn't have any red MAGA hats or any of that stuff. It just seemed real fishy. What I think happened is he had went on a little date and it went wrong, and they decided to use it to their advantage as a publicity stunt. That's what I think. It's unfortunate, but we live in a world where people do crazy things for money. He wanted to have his little music career kicking off, and it wasn't selling tickets. And after that, 48 hours later, in 48 hours, it sold out. I mean, come on, people. We gotta keep things real, man. I have to be like a man. I call it like I see it. And so, I'm not going to just say and blindly believe everything. You can tell me anything, but don't expect me to always believe it. Okay. So with that being said, I like to see the comments, see what you all think. And what do you think really happened now that more of his stuff is coming out? And I think he's going to get in trouble because Chicago police, they got all these officers taking time to look into this when people are getting killed left and right. And he got a scratch. And so once they find out that this was a false police report, they're going to come down on him. And so I don't know. He might be in jail with Andre at the end. So we'll see. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to your comments. Thanks for watching. Peace.